What's up, guys? Welcome back. Shane Oakley here. Glad you're tuning in. Here we are at episode 3, Advocacy versus Activism, where today we're going to focus more on the activist or activism side of everything that's kind of going on. Next week, everything's going to kind of come to a head with this, and we're really going to dive into the vaping side of advocacy and activism and how you can make an impact and there's, how you can make an impact and roles that you could fill as an advocate or an activist or both. You never know. You could fit into one, you could fit into the other, or you could fit into both. So my encouragement is to always, have your hand kind of in each one. That way, if you need to fill in or if you need to step up, there's always an opportunity there to do that. So, let's look at activism. An activist, as a general definition is, or more of a broad definition, it's a person who campaigns for some sort of social change. So, yeah, that's kind of a very, very broad brush definition of an activist. So, but you can kind of take that and break it down. Let's see, an activist is a person. An activist is a person who campaigns. Well, there's many aspects to campaigning. Activist or activism in the past has kind of been shown in a bad light, or kind of got a bum rap, in my opinion, simply because mainstream media is going to show what's going to get them ratings and what is going to get people to watch. So they're going to show the strikes and the sit-ins and the walkouts and things like that will get them views. Kind of the same thing that a lot of people do on YouTube. They go for that shock value. Oh, clickbait, click here, watch this, you won't believe, blah, blah, blah. So, and I understand why they've done that, but I honestly wish they would show some of the backstory and start out, here. They need to start here at the build up to the sit-in or the strike or whatever that happened, and then they can show what happened after. So, starting back here would be a lot better than starting here and just showing when it happened and the aftermath. Nothing of the build up. And I think that's why that activism has gotten a bad rap in the past, or a bum rap, or shown in a bad light. That's kind of the best way that I can explain it. So, talking about, an activist is someone who campaigns. Well, there's many aspects to campaigning. You have the people, just think about any kind of thing, honestly, when you say campaign, you think of somebody running for office. Well, you can kind of take that and turn that into an activist kind of situation. You have the change, which, translating that would be the person that you wanted elected. So that'll be the change that you want to happen, is that person being elected. So in your role during this campaign, there's flyers that need to go out, there's signs that need to be made, there's signs that need to go up. There's so many different aspects in this activist campaign that you need more than one person. You can be an activist on your own, and I fully respect it if you are. I'm grateful that you would do that, but it's so much better if it's a group. If you have someone that you can turn to and say, hey, I've got 3,000 of these flyers left that have to go out today. How many do you have left? And they say, oh, I've only got 40 left. Let me have some of yours, and that way we can get all of this done together. So having a group, having someone you can lean on and someone you can turn to in that time of need, and everybody's going to have those discouraging moments during your campaign for social change. And we're just really right now we're just speaking in general terms. We'll get a little bit more specific towards vaping as we get towards the end of the video. But looking at that activist during this campaign for the social change, for the translating it to an easier way to understand it, you're campaigning, your social change is this person you want to be elected. So from now on we'll just call Bob is the person we want to be elected. So we're campaigning for Bob. So there's so many things that need to be done during this campaign for Bob. There's meetings that need to be set up. There's transportation. There's so many different aspects of the campaign that everyone can be involved in. I don't want that stigma of activism as the guy in the street sitting there in the street setting himself on fire as a campaign for social change to be what people see activism is, because it's not just that. There's so much more that goes into that. Like I said with the news, they need to start back here before we get to where they started the story. There's so much more back here that wasn't covered, that nobody ever saw, which a lot of that happened behind the scenes. So, let's see. We're talking about different roles and different things that need to be done. I'm really trying to stay on subject, and I'm sorry if I get a little rambly or a little ranty. It's been a hell of a week so far. I'm a day late recording this because sometimes, I said it earlier this week, I've had to be adulting this week, and sometimes adulting sucks. But we all have to do it at one point or the other. So, we are campaigning for a social change, just in a general term. So anytime something like this happens, regardless of what the social change is, and I know I'm saying that a lot, but that's the best way I've found to word this. It could be there's so many things that domestic violence, bullying, any kind of social problem. You're campaigning to raise the awareness of the issue, period. That's what you're doing. So, and I think a lot of what is seen, or a lot of what is heard about, is the upper end extreme of what people do as activists. None of the behind the scenes stuff is really ever shown, which I understand. That's not going to get them views. They're not going to get viewers, and that's what they're after. So, in those roles that we're talking about, with the activist, with the activism, no matter how small your role is in trying to solve these social issues or social problems or trying to make a social change, it doesn't matter how small that is. What matters is that you're there and you're doing it and you're trying to make a difference, and you're putting yourself out there. You may be the person that goes to the mailbox and gets the mail for the group of people that you're working with. Or you may be the person that takes the letters that people have wrote to the mailbox. An example I used, it was either last week or week before, was someone that's very good at writing a letter. They're very good at wording things. They're very eloquent at what they say, and they understand how it needs to be worded. So they could write the letter to the, congressman, senator, legislator, president, whomever, mayor, governor, doesn't matter. So they could write all these letters, but say that person is homebound. They're in a wheelchair. They have a disability that they can't get to the post office, and they have all these letters that they want to send. You taking that role of, hey, you write all the letters you want, and I'll take every one of them to the post office. I'll come by here 3 days a week, 2 days, 3 days, whenever, and I'll take all these to the post office, and I'll mail them for you, and I'll make sure they get out. In my opinion, you are taking an active role in this issue. So you are being an activist for this issue, whether it's vaping, whether it's bullying, domestic violence, whatever it is. That's part of activism. And, someone said before, advocacy is behind the door and activism's outside the door. And in a way that's true, and in a way it is and it isn't all in the same, because activists can also be behind the scenes that you don't ever see. Excuse me, that you don't ever see. You may not see the people, but they do have an active role in person A getting to person B. So, they may arrange the travel for the advocate that is going to Washington, D.C., or going to San Francisco, or, really going anywhere in the country to advocate and to speak out against, anything, domestic violence, vaping. Our advocates are going to go out and speak for us on our behalf, because there's a lot of times that we can't be where we need to be to take care of it. So that's the reason we have advocates, and we have the activists that take care of our advocates, get them where they need to be, take care of their needs, so they can be the ones that speak for us. And in my opinion, in this avenue of vaping, and we're going to kind of turn here and talk about more activist roles in vaping rather than just, a social change. Excuse me. So, in the vaping realm of what we're trying to do, there's many, I guess, levels of activism is the easiest way to describe it. Going out and advocating and telling your story and explaining how vaping has changed your life, how long you smoked versus how long you vaped, and how much better you feel, and what your doctor said, about how much better your lungs are and how much better you sound when you're breathing. That's exactly what my doctor told me when I went back, was since I quit smoking, my lungs, I don't wheeze anymore. I don't have that little rattle whenever, deep breath and let it out. That's gone, and it's been gone. So that's kind of the way I share. Here's what my doctor said 6 months after I quit smoking, is I don't have a rattle in my chest anymore. So, but the activism side in vaping, it does have very, let's see, what's the word I'm looking for? It's varying levels of where you can be. You can be the person on the front line. I'm going to Washington, D.C. I'm going to get in with my legislators, and I'm going to speak my mind, and I'm going to let them know, here's the facts on X, Y, Z, and that's what we want to do, and here's the way you need to vote, because you are my voice in the U.S. government, and you need to speak for me, and here's all the facts that you need to understand this is where we're coming from. Or, like I said just a few minutes ago, you can be the person that goes by that homebound person's house and takes their letters that they've written to their legislators about how vaping has changed their life and take those to the post office. And there's many varying levels in between those two that you could be at. It's not something that where you have to be the person on the front lines, going all over the country speaking about vaping. That's, if you want to do that, hey, more power to you. I got you back. And I may end up being there with you. You never know. But, I may be driving half the time while you're sleeping so you can drive the other half. But I just want everybody to know that there's a role there for everyone. And, the mantra of let your voice be heard is not necessarily your voice. It's let your actions be heard. And I know that probably doesn't make sense, but if you think about it, your actions are your voice. Because, the saying's always been, actions speak louder than words. So if your voice is your actions, actions can be heard. And actions are louder than words. So how could it not make sense? So in closing, going to try to keep this one a little short. I know the last one went a little bit longer than I wanted it to, but there was a lot of information that I wanted to get out to you guys. So, we've kind of taken a little bit more of a deeper look into activism and kind of how you can be an activist as in vaping and how you can be an advocate with vaping. But next week, we're going to take more of a look at that in depth, where, here's some forms of advocacy for vaping, and here's some forms of activism for vaping. We're going to get more vaping specific on the next episode. I wanted to kind of take advocacy and activism and explain them more on a general term before we turned into the vaping, because I wanted everybody to understand really what it was before you made that commitment of, yes, I want to do this, or yes, I don't want to do that. I think I would be better in this sort of role. I have more expertise in website design rather than public speaking. Okay, fine. We need this, where we can put this up on YouTube videos if people want it. So, we need thumbnails designed, for this action. There's golly, what's the word I'm looking for? We'll just say a meeting. Sorry, I'm tired. I'm just trying to get done, I promise. But I really wanted to get this out for you guys. I don't want to take a week off. I really want to be proactive about this, because this is information that needs to get out there. People need to hear it, so that way they can understand that they can have a part in this. But now I totally lost my train of thought. But we will dive more in next week. We're coming up on 20 minutes. I think that's probably good. So I love you guys. Thank you very much for watching. And always remember, let your voice be heard. And we'll see you next time. Have a good night.